All right. All right. Let's start from where we stopped in part one. In part one. Part one. Part one. In part one, we just said, uh, in part one, we said we can play around with these labels, which we want to use for display. So I said that let me change its auto size property to false. Then the border style, instead of none, I can pick one. Due to personal preferences, 3. All right. I don't know. Let me name it. I named it LBL Lab. Then for delivery, um, you see, by the way, you should be able to see that I cannot adjust this. So that's why I have to set its auto size property to false. Now here, I can adjust the size as I want. Unfortunately, it doesn't have borders. So let me change the border styling to fixed 3D. Fixed 3D. It looks cute, but let me remove this label 3. And I also give it, because I'm going to use this in the code, let me give it the name LBL. Anyway, it is good practice to make the naming descriptive and start with LBL if it is a label. This, let me call it LBL, LBL OPD. I do the same auto size property to false, border style fixed 3D. Yeah, I remove the text, the value that I have here under text property. All right, wonderful. I want to put a label. For this label is for the total. So let me just call this LBL total. Yeah. I do the same. Jesus Christ. Auto size property. I set it to false. Then border style, I put 6 3D. Anyway, let me put this so that you can see the difference. This is fixed single, I think. For some of you are single, you may prefer that. I move label this. All right. Just like you use labels, by the way, in HTML, even in this label too, in this case, I just wanted to give direction that, hey, this is the total. Adjust that, nothing more. All right, let me put a button, a command button, a command button. Yeah. We said you can rename this starting with CMD or BTN. Let me call it CMD view, and I change the text property. I assign it to a view. I assign it to view. All right. Yeah. We said when you put an ampersand, by the way, and before the letter, it indicates that will be, hey, where did I put it? Jesus Christ. It indicates that will be its shortcut key, Alt, and that letter that has been underlined. Now, what I want is, when someone clicks view, they should see the lab fee, the delivery fee, the OPD fee, and the total. And the total. All right, let me come to the design to the code view. Yeah. Let me come to the code view. Let me come to the code view. Let me come to the code view. Now, under public, I want to declare the variables I'm going to use. I do not want to keep rewriting them, but before you can write, you can declare them from anywhere. Let me declare a service as string. Then I declare total, variable total. I declare the variable total. I also declare a lab fee, OPD fee. The other one is delivery fee as a double. Double takes on it takes on a wide range of values, but then also, especially for where you have decimal places, and but then also most cases for currency, for such huge figures that may involve currency, such as currency, we use double. We discussed all this in detail in our previous classes. All right. So, because that is done, let me come to my view, my CMD view. When someone clicks CMD view, then this code should run. Let me first initialize service to empty quotes. They said I don't have something like code serialize, so I've written it wrongly. All right, Jesus Lord. Then the variable total, I want the variable total to take on all these ones. So total will be this plus this plus this. All right. So let me say total. Let me just initialize it to 0. Now we said checkboxes, we access them, when we're accessing them, we use their checked property. So if I say if, maybe CHK, remember there's a checkbox called CHK delivery. If it has been checked, then what? On the service, on the variable service, remember we initialized to an empty quote. So on the variable service, we can say add. This is an increment. This is we are saying on the service concatenate this word. Concatenate the word delivery. Maybe you want to produce a baby because you people have grown old. Yeah. So what we are saying is that if someone has checked the checkbox for delivery, then they should, because this is an empty string, they should add the word delivery. Yeah. If it is still the case, we also want the lab fee. the lab fee, is it lab fee or delivery fee? A delivery fee, is it there? A delivery fee should be assigned to maybe a certain figure. For me, let me put delivery fee. It is 700,000. I don't put inside quotation marks because it is not a string. Taking water is good. All right. Now I want to pass this figure in the label for delivery. Yeah, so I can just say LBL delivery dot text. What displays in the label is that it's dot text property. It's the value for the dot text property. So we are saying that instead of writing LBL label what, we want the text property to be assigned to the figure that has been assigned to delivery fee. In other words, we are passing this figure here in the text property for delivery fee. All right. And we can also say now that total, yeah, the total, we increment it with the delivery fee, All right. Yeah. I don't want to over. Let me just copy this and I paste it here. There. And I paste it here 3 times. Is it 3 or 2? Yeah, so I have delivery. I think the other was lab. Yeah. So service in this case, if someone has checked the checkbox for lab, it should be as the service. On the service, they should add the word lab. Yeah. Then the lab service, the lab fee is maybe a 35, especially if you don't have 8. 35. And this should be passed in the label for lab. LBL lab should be the one that is housing this one, lab fee. So on this figure for total, they should add the figure for lab. If someone has clicked lab, then they should also add that figure on total. It should accumulate. Now that they did, when you click the checkbox for delivery, on 0 they added this, whatever has been put here. And when you also check lab, they also add this. This is what it means that on the existing value, add the lab fee as well. All right. The other one is OPD. OPD for us to have. All right. On this, then let's put outpatient. Outpatient service. You can put whatever. So, the service is that then the OPD fee, do we call it, yeah? OPD fee can be anything, but in this case, we want to assume that it's fixed, 40,000. Then this figure should be passed in LBL OPD.text. Yeah, OPD, let me do this, OPD. Yeah, so still we increment the total with the value for OPD fee. All right. If that is done, we can even now pass the figure for total in LBL in the label for total. So we can say LBL total dot text, we assign it, we are passing this total. We are passing this total. This total, we are passing it in this label for total. If that is okay, you go ahead and you try to debug. When you try to debug, when you select lab, delivery, OPD, nothing happens. But when you click view, the figures come. The figures come. All right. The figures actually come. So that is how we can use a checkbox. Okay. But let's add something small. Let's add maybe, of course, now Pipogram, instead of putting view, someone can put calculate or something, depending on how you want your thing to be, what is nice for your user. Let me add another button. Let me add another button. All right, let me add another button. And this button, I call it refresh. Others call it clear. Clear. Let me call it refresh. Oh, why? At least I went through a good. Not. I don't know. It's my friend. All right. I call this BTN or CMD BTN refresh. What I want this button to do is to refresh. That's what I'm interested in. Actually, I can even add the shortcut key here instead of, let me put, yeah, I'll put the ampersand before F and we see what happens. But is that enough? No, no, no. Maybe what's enough? If we double click this, what do I want? I want that if someone clicks this, whatever has been passed, whatever has been passed under these different controls should be removed. All right. All right. All right. That's what I want. All right. All right. But now that when immediately you click refresh or clear, we uncheck. You had selected, we uncheck what you had done, what you had checked. So we are saying that checkbox for delivery dot check, instead of setting it to true, because when you check it, that means this check property is set to true. So this time we are saying that set it to false. And the same for the same for the other, the same for lab. I want its checked property to be set to false as well. That is like we are deselecting. Also for OPD dot checked. Jesus Christ, the Nazarene. We should also set it to false. All right, but does that matter? What if some figures had been passed in the labels? So we also want to say that LBL delivery dot text, you can set it to empty quotes. That is one way. Or, or, or you can just say, you can just do this. LBL lab dot clear. Jesus Christ. I thought it was because because LBL lab dot clear. I didn't take a course. Oh, oh, oh. Uh-huh. Oh, LBL lab. This. Uh, no, no, no. It does it only work with text boxes? The dot clear, text box, dot clear. All right. Let's see this, whether this turns out to be nice. All right. Then when I say clear, it goes away. Hey. All right. Then LB, Jesus Christ. Let me stop the bugging. Let me stop the bugging. LBL OPD dot dot text. I just set it to empty quotes. The same with the LBL lab dot text. If we sent it to empty quotes. In other words, let me use this LBL total dot text. We set it to empty quotes. In other words, whereas we had said that the text property for LBL total should be set to total, to the value under total, here we are actually saying that no. When someone clicks refresh or clear, just set it to nothing. Just remove it. You can also export the dot clear. I think I don't know why it is not responding. I don't know whether it works for only the text box. Let me see. All right. When I run and I select all these ones, let me remove OPD. When I click view, they come. So when I click and refresh, they go away, paving a way for new entries. Paving a way for new entries. Yeah. All right.